is now 1 p.m. on this December 21st of 2023, and I call this Platting Board to order. Do I have a roll call, please?
Ron Johnson.
Present.
Eric Cohn.
Present.
Dan Bush.
Present.
Michelle Traxler is not here. Sandra Krieger is not here. Alan Leonard.
Present.
Amanda Salmon is not here. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Mr. Cohn, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
To the board, you've had time to look at the minutes from, do you have any objection to the agenda for today? No objection. We'll continue with the agenda as presented. You've had a chance to look at the minutes from December 7th of 2023. Are there any changes that anyone would like to put forth? With no changes, I'd like to, no objections, we'll unanimously approve the agenda or this minutes from December 7th of 2023. At this point, I would like to invite members of the public who would like to speak to the Platting Board about things not on a particular case today, just overall general platting things. With no one coming forward, I close that portion of the public participation of this meeting. And our first order of business is a variance for Chickaloon Branch Road. The request is for a variance from Matsu Borough 4320-140 physical access north Chickaloon Branch Road. The road is located north of North Glen Highway and west of north and south of Chickaloon River within section 25, township 20, north range 05 east, Seward Meridian, Alaska, in Chickaloon Community Council and Assembly District number 1. I don't have my thing, but public notices, please.
12 notices were mailed on November 14th, 2023.
Staff report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this platting action is a variance from physical access for North Chickaloon Branch Road, beginning at the end of state maintenance, as shown on the map, to the eastern boundary of the proposed Harrison-Nesca-Anakai subdivision. This road is within the Alaska Railroad right-of-way, and they have granted a special land use permit for the use of this road. The road does not meet Borough Pioneer standards. The road is to be used for access for a proposed two-lot subdivision, which is called Harrison-Nesca-Anakai. The case has already been heard and approved as an abbreviated plat. However, the road standard needed to be clarified. The purpose of the two-lot subdivision is to allow Chickaloon Native Village to purchase their ancestral burial grounds. Since the road does not meet Pioneer standards, a variance from MSB 4320-140 is required. The variance application is at Exhibit B. All Points North LLC has submitted the application as required and has responded to criteria A and C as required. The only comment of note was from our Department of Public Works that recommended that this variance only apply to the Harrison-Nesca-Anakai subdivision. That means if anybody that is using this road in the future would want to re-subdivide their property, they would either have to bring the road up to Borough residential standards or apply for another variance. So in conclusion, the variance from MSB 4320-140 for Chickaloon Branch Road is consistent with MSB 4315-075 variance standards of approval. Staff is recommending approval with 7 findings of fact and 1 recommendation for condition of approval.
Thank you, Ms. Otter-Buchanan. Before questions for the staff, I would like to query the board if they have, I forgot to ask earlier, if they have any had any ex parte communication with members of the public outside of the public process provided by the borough? And do any members of your family or yourself have any direct financial interest in this decision? Can you be impartial in your decision? Everyone asserting yes, the board can continue as seated. I'm sorry, I forgot that before having Ms. Amy Buchanan give the staff report. Do we have any questions for staff? Yes, Mr. Cohn.
What actually changes with this decision?
It doesn't change the road. What changes with this decision is that now that they have a variance for access, for physical access, they can go ahead and record the plat of Harrison-Nesca-Anakai.
Further queries for staff? With no further queries, I would like to invite the petitioner's representative, if they want to, give a brief overview of the case.
This is Max Schellinger, engineer and surveyor, petitioner's representative. This is a long 2-lot subdivision that started in 2020. Took over a year for Alaska Railroad to get the rest permitting through. And this project essentially takes some existing grave sites and puts it on its own piece of property, which Chickaloon Village has wanted to buy forever. And it doesn't change anything as far as land use or anything like that. I'm happy to go into more detail later. It's in my report that I've written, if you guys have any further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Schillinger. At this point, I would like to invite members of the public, if they would like to come forward and speak to this case, to go ahead and come forward. No one in the room coming forward. Is there anyone online? If you're online, please press *3 and we'll see your hand raised and we can include you in the meeting. There's no one online and no one in the room coming forward. I'd like to close the public participation portion of this meeting and re-invite the petitioner's representative to come back up for further response to any public comment and questions from the board.
Any questions for me?
Any questions from? Yes, Mr. Cohn.
Was SHPO involved with this? Did you get a SHPO letter?
I'm not involved at all with the grave sites are existing. They've been there from inspection a long time ago. That whether SHPO has been involved, I'm probably sure they know about it, given the age, but probably the Chief Harrison would know about that. But they're known grave sites for the Chickaloon Village.
Well, I appreciate that.
Their spirit house. Their spirit houses, wood houses, where the ancestors are. And right now, it's one big parcel with one private owner that owns actually the grave sites, and that's the problem that we've been trying to solve since 2020.
Okay, I was just concerned because usually SHPO gives all the guidance for that as well. So
Yeah.
I did read your report.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if Amy remembers conditions of approval with SHPO, but it is such a known area that I'd be confident that they already have, one of their reports as a known site on there. I do not have access, and unless you're a licensed archaeologist, you don't have access to their, with web-based. They don't want, grave robbers or looky-loos for a lot of these things. So that's another reason why this plat has been, it used to, when we started this, it was Chickaloon Graveyard Subdivision, and we've changed the name just so that wasn't putting a big red beacon to come, sleep out there in the night or something, look for ghosts. I don't know. But yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know anything about the historical reasons. Any further questions?
Any other questions for Mr. Schillinger? If we don't have any further questions, it looks like, and if that's all you have.
Thank you.
Yeah. I would invite a motion from a member of the board. Mr. Johnson.
Yes, I'd like to make that motion, Mr. Chairman. I move that we approve the variance from MSB 43-2140 for the physical access to North Chickaloon Branch Road based upon the 7 findings of fact and contingent upon the 1 condition of approval.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Do I have a second?
I second.
Mr. Mitchell, thank you. We have a motion before us. Any discussion from the board? Is there any objection from any members of the board to a unanimous approval for this petitioner? In that case, it passes unanimously. We move on to our next item of business, which is plating and officer comments. Mr. Strawn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is Alex Strawn, Planning Director for the Borough, covering for Fred Wagner. Looks like upcoming Platting Board agenda items. The January 4th, 2024 meeting, we have 3 cases: Shadow Ridge, 30-foot public use easement vacation on Government Lot 6, and then Victory Gerwig are the 3 cases that are coming up. And hopefully Fred will be back for that meeting. And that's all I have. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Strong. Do we have any comments from members of the board?
I would like to make one comment.
Yes, sir.
I do believe staff, if these types of things do come up, I do think SHPO should be added as a step, just because that actually would plat out. That would actually give them exactly the square footage and everything that would be required. So I know this was kind of a private transaction. It's not that big of a deal. But the thing is I do believe that that could be a step that was added to the process, because we do have everyone else has been accounted for, but SHPO hasn't, and is dealing with that subject. So it's just a thought. It's a suggestion.
Thank you, Mr. Cohn. Any other comments from the members of the board? Mr. Johnson.
Well, before we leave, I'd just like to wish the staff a Merry Christmas, and my fellow board members Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And just to remind you, my next meeting will be January 18th with this board. So I'll see you then.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. If there's no more comments, I'll call this meeting adjourned at 1:12 p.m.